What we're moving into now is modeling markets. Next batch of videos will be on exactly that. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, market consists of two components. A market consists of the supply of a good and the demand for that good. Now, a market isn't a market with just supply, and a market isn't a market with just demand. You need both components in order to have a market. Now, what I mean by modeling markets is, for instance, you can represent any level of economics two ways. You can represent it as a mathematical model, for instance, the famous equation of a line, or you can represent it graphically as a line. Now, what we do in economics, of course, is we take a general form such as this and we input information into it and see how that model changes. What is the result of inputting information into this model? For instance, this general y equals mx plus b form, this could be a line that looks like this, could be a line that looks like this, could be a line that looks like this. We don't know until we input information in for b and m, and only then can we tell exactly what line we have. Okay, now assume that we decide that our line, we input information for m and b, specific numbers, in other words, and we get a line like this. What we do in economics is then we take this starting position and we input different information in for m or b, and that information, that new information, would be caused by some event that would occur, and in economics we usually call this event a shock. So we would effectively shock this model, we would change m and b, and we would see how this line changes. Okay, and then we would analyze the change. Okay, so when we model markets, we are going to do exactly this. Now, the way I teach this is I don't use the mathematical representation of the model, but it's very important that you know what's going on behind the scenes, that when I represent graphically anything that we're doing in these series of lectures, that there is indeed a mathematical model behind this that you're not seeing. But at this level of economics, it's simply not necessary to get into that level of sophistication. The next thing I want to talk about quickly before we get into modeling markets, and specifically modeling demand is what we're going to start with, is a term economists often use called Ceteris Paribus. And Ceteris Paribus means all else equal, all held constant, etc. It's essentially means that, look, what we're going to do is we're going to analyze changes in this model using only one type of shock. So we'll send a shock into this model, see how the graph changes, see how the model results change, while holding all other factors that could potentially affect that model constant. If we didn't do that, then we wouldn't be able to isolate the impact on the market any one particular event has, and that's very important. So we will be grounding all of our analyses under this clause of Ceteris Paribus. We'll be sending a shock into the market, looking at how the model changes, holding all other factors that may influence that market constant.